Turning back to Carol's other extraordinary reporting and bringing our friends into the conversation, as we mentioned at the top of the hour, today marks the 100 days since the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Joining Carol and myself, Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence, and lucky for us, an MSNBC national security analyst. And we're very pleased to welcome to our conversation former Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman of Virginia. He's the subject of that New York Times piece of reporting that we quoted from, and someone I've wanted to talk to for a very long time. What are your thoughts today? I mean, you were a canary in the mine warning about the price of disinformation, the danger of disinformation. We read from the reaction you got to those warnings. I also read from Carol's stunning new reporting about how far the disinformation has penetrated the elite forces of our military. Where do we go from here?
You know, I've been asked that again for 100 days. Here we're on the 100-day anniversary. And what scares me here in Virginia, Nicole, is that every single candidate here is running on some type of election integrity platform, and some of the candidates specifically on Stop the Steal. And it's something that I've been screaming about, as you know, for almost a year now, about how conspiracy theories have sort of taken over. And there was a poll, I think, that I saw where it said about 50% still believe the election's been stolen. I actually think it's much higher. You know, I've had individuals here in my district who believe in Stop the Steal say they won't even answer questions like that because they think they're being tracked if the media is trying to call them and say, hey, did you actually support this? Are you QAnon? They won't answer the questions. I think the poll undersamples the number of people that believe in this. And I'm just not saying that anecdotally. I'm saying that with statistics. And what scares me is committees around the country are doing this. They're pushing forward still on censorships. And when you see Marjorie Taylor Greene raising $3.2 million, the follow the money aspect of this is huge. And again, how do we stop it? I want to use blunt force facts. I think we need some kind of center for disinformation defense. But I wish I had the answer. I've been in intelligence for 20 years, and it seems like facts just don't matter right now as this cult, this messianic belief system still metastasizes amongst, those in the Republican base.
Well, and it would be one thing if it was just, the people who wear hats and wait for the balloon drop at the Republican conventions every 4 years. But as Carol Lee reports, Congressman, it's at the highest levels and the most important sort of elements of our military. What do you do about extremism in the military?
You have to be very vigilant. And, I was a veteran, obviously, Air Force intelligence. Before that enlisted, I was a Mustang. And to say that problem's not in the military would simply be to be putting your head in the sand. And it's everywhere. And, I didn't even realize, and I tell you, I was a little bit naive, even with my background, the amount of people who automatically come to me in the street and say, Denver, we liked you, but the election was stolen. Or individuals that are in law enforcement or in the military that I know. And guys, I know them. And they will call me and say, hey, we love you. You're great, but you're full of crap. This thing was actually stolen. And I get it. And it's my own family, too. And so when you're fighting your family, your friends, I probably lost a significant amount of my friends, family members that are very close to me. When I say very close, I'm not going to say who they are, but you can guess. As close as can be. When they say that I'm a traitor, I've gone against this country, when the first conspiracy theories were that I was being funded by George Soros to change the sexual orientation of children after I officiated that gay marriage. These conspiracy theories wrap hate, bigotry, ridiculousness, and insanity all in one sort of lump, I would say lump ideology. And that should scare the hell out of people.
I have some of these experiences, too, in my own family. And I wonder if you can just articulate how fact immune this sort of belief system is, because we watched this testimony from the chiefs of our intelligence services who say the greatest homeland security threat now, as opposed to 20 years ago, in the years after 9/11, is domestic violent extremism. I mean, it seems like the time for talking about a fact immune, conspiracy theory adherent group that's just off believing a lie is now moved into the need to address the threat that they may pose.
Well, the good against evil is exciting, Nicole. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be engaged in fighting this deep state cabal, right? This global cabal that's trying to take over our country. And we talk about facts immune people. I feel like I'm a facts-based pariah. We're radicals in the Republican Party if you say that Stop the Steal was ridiculous, right? Yeah. Trump is the new establishment. And I've been, Nicole, I have nothing left to give on the words. I don't know if I have the words effectively for everyone to say, this is nuts. And when you look at what's happening here in Virginia, and you have every gubernatorial candidate on the Republican side running on this, every single one of them, and you see record fundraising totals across the country. People better know the GOP is here to stay with this element. It's not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm seeing it. I'm in it. I get inundated with it. I still get Facebook messages of people doing Stop the Steal videos and biblical prophecies. They're saying, Denver, you got to come back and help us here because Satan's taken over the world. That is a difficult thing to fight. And I wish, Nicole, I had the answer for you. I think we can drag these disinformation peddlers into the sunlight, identify who they are through sort of social network analysis. We can do that type of stuff. But at some point at the grassroots, there has to be people that are brave enough to effectively say, listen, I love you guys. We're compassionate about this. But, I don't want to say, something, that's awful. But I want to say, listen, you have been absolutely grifted by people to the highest levels of government that have reached right into your pockets to take your money because they would rather win than give you the truth and run with integrity. And if we don't have people who are willing to run with integrity and willing to tell the truth, we're going to have a tough time in this two-party system. And, I don't know if I can be any more blunt.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.